The Appalachian Melody, uncovering the rich history of a region and its music. Hey guys, today we're going to embark on a journey to explore the fascinating history of Appalachia, a region nestled in the eastern United States. From the majestic mountains to the rolling hills, Appalachia's unique cultural heritage has been shaped by the intersection of Native American, European, and African influences. The Appalachian region has been home to various Native American tribes for thousands of years. The Cherokee, one of the largest and most prominent tribes, played a significant role in shaping the region's early history. Their rich cultural traditions, including music, dance, and storytelling, continue to inspire and influence the region's artistic expression. As European settlers arrived in Appalachia, they brought with them their own musical traditions. However, it was the Cherokee who introduced the region to its unique musical heritage. Cherokee music, characterized by its haunting melodies and complex rhythms, quickly blended with European and African influences to create a distinctive Appalachian sound. The Appalachian region has long since been a melting pot of cultures. Scottish, Irish, German, and African immigrants, among others, brought their own musical traditions to the region. The Scots-Irish, for example, introduced the fiddle, which became a staple instrument in Appalachian music. African Americans, meanwhile, contributed their rich gospel and blues traditions, which continued to shape the region's musical landscape. As the region's cultural influences blended together, a unique Appalachian sound began to emerge. Old-time music, characterized by its driving rhythms and soaring melodies, became a hallmark of the region's musical heritage. Bluegrass music, which emerged in the mid-20th century, further refined the Appalachian sound, incorporating elements of country, folk, and blues. The Appalachian melody is a rich tapestry of cultural influences woven together by the region's unique history and geography. From the Cherokee to the European and African immigrants, each group has contributed to the region's distinctive musical heritage.
People came bearing strains of the Norse adventurer, of Celtic fantasy, and of the Protestant Revolution that helped to free mankind from the old tyrannies of kings and emperors. And in this grand setting, all were influenced by the civilized Cherokee town dwellers, who taught them how to grow tobacco and corn and squash and how to play the mouth bow.
But the Indians found that there was no end to the palefaces and no end to their greed for land and gold. And so a long and tragic war broke out that drove the Indians west on the Trail of Tears.
They marched most of the Cherokees across into Oklahoma and killed lots of women and children, on them marches.
And are you proud of your Indian blood?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
The real Tom Dooley, uncovering the truth behind the legend. We're exploring the fascinating story of Tom Dooley, the man behind the infamous song Tom Dooley. This ballad, made famous by the Kingston Trio in 1958, tells the tale of a man who allegedly murdered his lover Laura Foster and was subsequently hanged for his crime. But how much of this story is fact and how much is fiction? Tom Dooley was born in 1844 in Wilkes County, North Carolina. His family was of Scottish and Irish descent, and they were known to be fiercely independent and proud. Tom's early life was marked by hardship and struggle, as is his family worked to make a living off the land. On May 25, 1866, Laura Foster, a young woman from a neighboring family, was found murdered in a secluded area near Tom's home. Suspicion quickly fell on Tom, who had been known to have a romantic relationship with Laura. Tom's trial was an international media event with newspapers from across the state covering the proceedings. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, Tom was found guilty of Laura's murder and sentenced to death. His execution was witnessed by a large crowd, and it marked the end of a tragic and tumultuous chapter in the life of Tom Dooley. But Tom's story didn't end with his execution. In the years that followed, his legend grew, and he became sort of a folk hero in the Appalachian region. The song Tom Dooley, written by Frank Warner and made popular by the Kingston Trio, cemented Tom's place in American folklore. So what really happened to Tom Dooley and Laura Foster? The truth is, we may never know for certain, but one thing is clear: Tom's story has greatly exaggerated and distorted over the years. Recent research has suggested that Tom may have been innocent of Laura's murder, and the true culprit may have been a member of Laura's own family. Regardless of the truth, Tom's story remains a powerful and haunting tale of love, betrayal, and tragedy.
Hang your head, Tom Dooley. Oh, it's hang your head and cry. Kill little Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die. I met her on the mountain, there I took her life. Met her on the hillside, and I stabbed her with my knife. So it's hang your head, Tom Dooley.
This is about as close as one ever gets to the real source of things. This is the Tom Dooley sung by the son of the man who actually gave it to the world. This is Frank Prophet Jr., who lives in the high mountains near Boone, North Carolina.
This time
And it was his father, Frank Prophet, who sang it for my friends, the Warners, when they came down into the mountains ballad hunting back in 1938. I learned it from the Warners, and I sang it all over the country and on my radio shows, and it got to be known that way. And then sometime later on, the Kingston Trio picked it up, and it's now a world song.
This time tomorrow, reckon where I'll be, in a lonesome valley, hanging on a white oak tree.
This is a story from the day of Tom Dooley's execution, May 2nd, 1868. Now, the song is a record of a true event. Tom Dooley was a wild young buck, veteran of the Civil War. He was going with 2 or 3 women at the same time, and one of them, it said, Laura Foster, gave him syphilis, and which he inadvertently passed on to another of the women named Ann Melton, whom he was much closer to. And when she found that out, she insisted that they murder Laura Foster in vengeance.
Hang your head, Tom Dooley, oh, hang your head and cry. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, poor boy, you're bound to die.
He took it, he's done it himself, but now according to what I hear, the kid, he didn't, the other woman's went done it. That Tom Dooley really didn't kill her, but he took Ralph on himself, what my grandpa and my grandma always told us.
Was he going with both of them all, and had them both in
Yeah,
prison?
he's going both at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was with them both at different times.
He had them both pregnant.
Yeah.
Him and Ann Melton killed her.
Yeah, that's what I
They
heard now.
plotted.
Ann
out.
Melton was married, already married.
He's already
James
married.
Melton.
Yeah,
She was a foster. I think she's Laura's first cousin.
yeah. That's
She-
what
she
we
had a
heard
couple
when we
of
was
young'uns,
kids, you know, growing up. You see the women playing.
I don't think none of them had the morals of Alley Cat. There's very little morals in any of them, and restraint with any of
But
the
I
things.
guess I'd say
Doves
Frank's
den.
got it about that ball, but it's different stories of it, you know.
It's strange for the prophets to think about it. Frank Jr. says it changed his life, and here in this book it says that about Mr. Prophet, who's now dead. The source says before the folk music started, that is, the royalties started coming into the family, often the family had nothing to eat but potatoes 3 times a day, and often not enough of those. Gives you an idea what life was like back in those hills.
at times.
He was at a pretty low time for him. It was just all the crops drying up, and then it came a big spring freshet, rain storm and thunderstorm, and washed everything away. And he just didn't see no way to turn, but he got his Delsmore out and got a little solace on it to soothe his depression. If he hadn't had that turned to, I don't know what he done. My grandfather, Nathan Hicks, came over. His cabbage patch had been washed away. He came over, and him and Daddy played their misery out. Played their misery out, that's what they done. And he wrote this song then, and I'm gonna do it, try here now, called Poor Man. Well, I got down on my knees for rain, I thought I'd pray. Long come a great big flood, washed everything away. There ain't a thing for a poor man in this world. Well, I worked through the summertime and I worked through the fall. Then I spent my Christmas in a pair of overalls. There ain't a thing for a poor man in this world. Lord have mercy.
The life and legacy of Tommy Jarrell, a master fiddler from the Blue Ridge Mountains. We're going to take a look at the legacy of Tommy Jarrell, a master fiddler from the Blue Ridge Mountains. Tommy's music has captivated audiences for generations, and his influence on traditional American music is still felt today. Tommy Jarrell was born in March of 1901 in Round Peak community of Surry County, North Carolina. He grew up in a musical family and was exposed to traditional fiddle music from a young age. Tommy's early influences included his father, Ben Jarrell, and other local fiddlers such as Charlie Lowe and Fiddlin' John Carson. Tommy Jarrell's fiddle style was characterized by his distinctive driving rhythm and melodic phrasing. He was known for his mastery of traditional tunes as well as his ability to improvise and create new melodies. Tommy's technique was marked by his use of double stops, chords, and other advanced fiddle techniques. Tommy Jarrell's music career spanned over 7 decades, during which he performed at countless dances, festivals, and concerts. He was a key figure in the preservation and promotion of traditional American music, and his influence can be heard in the playing of many modern fiddlers. In the 1960s and 70s, Tommy Jarrell was rediscovered by folk music enthusiasts who were drawn to his authentic traditional style. He gained national recognition performing at festivals such as Newport Folk Festival and the Smithsonian Folklife Festival.
And the man shocked away like fury, for every time you found a ready or you got to kiss your favorite girl, and somewhere down in that pile there was a fine jug of mountain moonshine.
I get drunk, yes, I get drunk. Just let me fall, little darling, on the ground. On the ground, on the ground. Just let me fall, little darling, on the ground. That old land up there around the foot of that mountain was doggone poor. They had to do something to make a little money, you know. They couldn't make enough to eat. On the farm, they had to make a little whiskey on the side and sell that and buy what they needed. They didn't rush it. My granddaddy, he made brandy, but he had the block part of his to make any money. He said it took 4 bushels of apples to make 1 gallon of brandy, and he give 12.5 cents a bushel for them apples.
That was 48 cents it cost him besides the work. And then he had to pay $1.10 tax on the gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to blockade it, you know, to make any money, slip it out.
What does blockading mean?
Well, that means, you know, they had to moonshine it. They had to hide it out. And when the gaugers come around, they'd always send word and what time they were coming. They hid out all the whiskey, all the brandy out in the woods. They didn't want them to give account of. Had to make any money.
We've got long, we've got long, carry home, little darling, carry home.
Guerrilla warfare really took place that lasted until Prohibition was repealed. In some counties, the county officials took it very seriously, and they just went in with guns and tried to kill whomever they found. And the mountaineers were armed, and they fought back.
Republicans was in power, and they come up there and cut all the Democrats still and let the Republicans still on, you know. They could come by the old man Dan run a mill. They come by his mill. Well, we cut another one for you today, Uncle Dan. They called him Uncle Dan. Everybody called him Uncle Dan Barker. The last time they come by and said that, yeah, said Uncle Dan liable to cut some of you all down too next time you come back up here. So he put him up another one, and they came back. And he killed one and shot Tom Brim right through there, right through his lung there. He'd have died if his brother hadn't heard they shoot him and come over there, turned him over. So he told me and the boss man that I was working on the road with. He showed us where the bullet went in, pulled his shirt off, showed us where to cut it out back there. It didn't go plumb through it. Just bullet the skin, all they had to do is just split the skin and it popped out.
People remember with absolute ecstatic delight the first time they ever heard a fiddle sound. This is an account from 1870. I have in this book here where a fellow's telling about the first time he ever heard a fiddle, and he says, Lordy, I thought that was the prettiest, sweepingest music that I'd ever heard. I wanted to holler and jump up and down. I just couldn't sit still on that log bench when that tune started snaking around the schoolhouse. I let out a yell and leapt off that bench and commenced to dance and clog around, and everybody was hollering and laughing. And every time he touched the bow of them strings, hell would break loose in that schoolhouse. You see that hand sliding on that string? That doesn't happen in the fiddling of the old country. That's the black trade. And notice how he shakes that middle body of his. I mean, there's another sign of the black influence, because Tommy, you see, grew up where there was lots of contact between black and white music. The source of Tommy's hard-driving, syncopated mountain music is among blacks, who handle the fiddle like a rhythm instrument and marry it to the banjo, a sort of strong drum, to create the hoedown tunes that shake the southern dance floors.
And I remember that my mother had a first cousin, and he tried to play a fiddle, and he sold 48 packs of seeds and got him a little old premium fiddle. And so he said he wasn't gonna do much with it, and he told my mom, I said, Rosa, said that boy keep talking about that fiddle, I'm gonna give it to him. So I walked over there about 5 or 6 miles and got that fiddle. My daddy put strings on it. Going downtown, going downtown, going down, leave but town, coming back no more. Going downtown, going downtown, going down, leave but town, coming back down. Way up on the mountain, way up on the mountain, way up on the mountain, where the eagle bill is there.
Uncovering the truth behind the legend of John Henry. John Henry is a legendary figure in American folklore, often celebrated as a symbol of strength, perseverance, and the dignity of labor. According to the tale, John Henry was a steel-driving man who worked on building railroads during the 19th century, a time when steam-powered machinery was beginning to replace manual labor. His story takes place during the construction of a railroad tunnel where he faced a monumental challenge, competing against a steam drill to prove the superiority of human strength and endurance. With his hammer in hand, John Henry drove steel spikes into the rock with unparalleled skill and determination, ultimately outpacing the machine and claiming victory. However, the effort took a fatal toll as he collapsed and died from exhaustion immediately after his triumph. The story of John Henry. It resonates as an allegory for the struggle between men and machine, reflecting broader themes of industrialization and its impact on workers. Over the years, his legacy has been preserved in songs, stories, and art, serving as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the value of hard work. Although the tale is rooted in legend, many historians believe it may be based on real events or individuals, adding a layer of historical intrigue to the myth.
When the railroads came into the mountains at the middle of the 19th century, the work was done by blacks. There was no mercy on those blacks. They drove them hard, and they kept up their spirits by singing. When you hear my hammer ringing, wow, steel's running like lead, steel's running like lead, wow. When you hear my hammer ringing, wham, steel's running like lead, buddy. Wham, steel's running like lead. Wham. And the mountaineers were leaning over the edge of their mountain and listening and learning about the man who drove the steam drill down and died with a hammer in his hand.
John Henry, he was up on the mountain. Looked them up on the other side. The mountain so tall that he was so small. Lay down his hammer and he cried.
Perhaps the greatest of all American folk songs is the ballad of John Henry. Now, when John Henry was composed and sung by the blacks on the railroads, it really wasn't done as a ballad. It was a song of sexual boasting. John Henry was a steel-driving man, and that song celebrated his sexual prowess. And all blacks, when they listened to it, laughed. And this is what the railroad workers needed. They needed some humor to keep them going.
As we conclude this journey through the history and culture of Appalachia, I invite you to reflect on the rich tapestry that has been woven before us. From the ancient traditions of the Cherokee to the courageous legacy of John Henry, we have explored the complex and multifaceted story of the remarkable region. As we have seen, the history of Appalachia is a complex interweaving of threads, each one representing a unique cultural, social, or economic influence. From the early European settlers to the African American communities that formed in the region, each group has brought its own distinct traditions, customs, and values to the table. Throughout our journey, we have seen the power of music and storytelling to capture the essence of our Appalachian culture. From the haunting melodies of the Cherokee to the foot-stomping rhythms of the old-time music, we have experienced the ways in which music can involve emotions, tell stories, and bring people together. The story of Appalachia is a testament to the power of legacy and the importance of preserving our cultural heritage. As we move forward, let us remember the lessons of the past and honor the traditions that have passed down to us. Let us celebrate the diversity and richness of the Appalachian culture, and let us strive to preserve a legacy for generations to come. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, guys.